Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our family lifetime. Tonight, we're looking at the subject of love. Now, Jesus says something very significant in John chapter 13. He says, "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, as I loved you, that you also love one another. By this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you have love one for another." Now, if God commands us to love, it stands to reason that it is of vital importance that we know how. Now, Gary Chapman has taken the concept of love and he has put it within the context of 5 love languages. And you see them there: words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. Now, the idea behind the 5 love languages is that we all have a primary love language. That is the way that we best experience love. We have a preference, and we tend to love others in the way that we like to be loved. The problem with that is that within the context of relationships, we cannot rely on our native tongue if the other person doesn't understand it. So in other words, if my primary love language are words of affirmation and the other person's or are acts of service, then I can speak words of affirmation to them. They may appreciate them, but they won't feel fully loved by me unless I express my love according to the way they best experience love. So when it comes to sharing love with others, especially those who are in our intimate circle, it is important for us to appreciate what their love language is so that we can love them in the way that they prefer. So let's look at them one by one. Words of affirmation. Now, words of affirmation may be verbal compliments, they may be encouragement, expressions of appreciation. Words have power. We've already seen that Solomon said that death and life are in the power of the tongue. So we can speak life, we can speak love into other people's lives simply by the words that we choose to use. Now, Paul says in 1 Corinthians 13 that love is kind. Now, kind words have as much to do with how we speak as what we say. And studies confirm that tone of voice can communicate much more than the actual words that we use. The next love language is quality time. Now, one of the primary ways that God expresses his love to us is through his withness or his availability to us. So many times we read, especially in the Old Testament, God saying to his people, "I am with you, I am with you, I am with you." Now, in the context of our relationships, quality time involves being present, giving our loved ones our undivided attention. In the New Testament, Jesus said, "I am with you always." And there is something significant about simply being with others. It is said that love is spelled T-I-M-E, and that applies just as much within the family context as any other context. Quality time requires that we intentionally enter the world of our loved ones. Mark 3, verse 13, then Jesus went up a hill and called to himself the men he wanted. They came to him, and he chose 12 that they might be with him. So again, this idea of community, of sharing, of connection. Now, bear in mind that proximity and togetherness are not the same thing. They are related, but they're definitely not the same thing. Togetherness has to do with heart connection. Paul expressed his desire for the Christian community that their hearts may be encouraged, being knit together in love. So it's not just about being in each other's presence, it is about how we connect with each other while we are with one another. The next is gifts of appreciation. Now, giving is a fundamental expression of love. And when we see this in the most well-known passage in the whole Bible, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Gifts of appreciation, can be visual or tangible symbols of love, which can carry deep emotional significance. One of my favorite TV programs is The Repair Shop. And the reason I love this program is that you get people who bring their precious possessions to this repair shop to get them fixed up and restored as close as possible to their original condition. But the thing about it is that they tell the story behind the gifts, and oftentimes it's something that they have received from a loved one, which binds them to that loved one. And they're very, very emotional stories. And so gifts, it demonstrates that gifts can be very significant in terms of communicating love to other people. Now, when it comes to gift giving, don't rely on special occasions. By all means, mark the special occasions. But random acts of kindness, giving gifts just for the sake of giving gifts can be much more appreciated than, for example, giving flowers on Valentine's Day because you feel obligated to do so. Next is acts of service. Now, this involves voluntarily doing things that others would like you to do. And this is no strings attached, doing them in order to get some kind of payoff or to earn brownie points. You're simply giving these acts of service because it is the right thing to do. And Paul urges us to serve one another in love. The final love language is physical touch. Now, studies have clearly shown that the human body is programmed for touch, and we experience emotional deficit without it. You may recall after the fall of communism, when the UN went into Romania and they found these children in these children's homes, they became known as Ceausescu's children. These were children that what the records showed was that when they were placed in these homes, they were perfectly healthy, normal children. And as a result of the fact that all they received was a roof over their heads and food in their bellies, but they didn't receive any love, they didn't receive any nurture, they didn't receive any loving touch. And as a result, they developed mental health issues. So we clearly know that touch is of vital importance to human flourishing. One of the reasons why is that when we are touched in a loving way, the body releases this neurochemical called oxytocin, which is a bonding chemical which promotes intimacy through emotional connection. And there are other hormones that the body secretes, like what's it called? Not adrenaline. Forget the word now. Oh, but you know what I mean. We secrete these hormones and these neurochemicals which give us a sense of well-being. And so it's vitally important that we touch in an appropriate way. If you think about how Jesus related to people, Jesus healed many people. And oftentimes he healed them with touch when he actually didn't need to touch them. And I think that Jesus touched them for a very specific reason, because he wasn't just concerned about their physical healing, but he was also concerned about their emotional well-being. Because in Jesus' day, if you were sick, particularly if you're sick for a significant period of time, that was seen as the curse of God or the finger of God. You were under God's frown. And so there would have been emotional trauma that went along with their physical ailments. And when Jesus touched them, he was communicating acceptance, communicating affirmation in his restoration. Studies have shown that there are some certain benefits from hugs. And these benefits are that hugs strengthen your immune system and balance your body. Hugs increase feelings of safety. Hugs increase your feelings of belonging. Hugs increase your feelings of mattering, self-esteem, being seen. And these studies have indicated that each one of us has a minimum daily requirement of hugs in order to flourish. And that's between 3 and 6. So have you had your daily requirement? Let me leave you with this. Whatever our primary love language may be, we must become multilingual. So go on a voyage of discovery. Ask yourself, what is my primary love language? And more importantly, try and discover what the love language is of those within your intimate circle so that you can love them most effectively. John says, beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and anyone who loves is born of God and knows God. May God bless you.